So when you look at this story of Sarah, God visited Sarah. There are other stories that you could develop with this idea of visitation. How that when Jesus would go in and he would visit a city, and sometimes they would receive him, other times they would not receive him. In fact, when you look at the story of when he went into his own city, how many of you understand what's going to happen to a prophet most of the time when you go into your own city? You know what's going to happen to a prophet? They're going to still remember everything they knew about you before you were unconverted. They're going to talk about, oh yeah, I know. Isn't that Joseph's son? That's what they said about Joseph. And all of those ideas, wonderful ideas that they have about you, because they're trying to box you into what they think is your reality.
Come on.
Rather than seeing you as God has raised you up in Christ.
Amen.
And therefore, generally, a prophet has very little honor in his own home.
Yes. Yes, come on.
Now, I can testify of that from my own personal experience. And I'm sure Pastor Ken brings down here in Fort Myers. He can testify of that too. So when Jesus would visit, many times he could not do the things he desired to do because of their inability to receive how God was visiting them at the time. And then there would be other places he'd go. And he'd say, I haven't seen great faith like this. Not in all of Israel. But what you should notice is, each time he said that, these people were not a part of Israel. The Syrophoenician, a centurion who understood authority, the Syrophoenician who refused to let it go, so they understood importunity. And these were the people that had said, I see great faith in these people, and I don't see anything like this in Israel. Because basically Israel, they are offended with me. Because here it is, being one of them, they can embrace how God is visiting them. Now, the same thing has happened historically through the years. Some people could not receive the coming of the Lord or the visitation of the Lord because he didn't come in the gender they wanted him to come.
I'll think of that.
He came in a female. And in a male-centered world, we think he's always supposed to come through a man. And then some could not receive him because of the chronological reasons. Maybe he came in a younger person, and they thought it should have been a more mature person. Some people have, the issue of race and all of that stuff. And they have all kinds of biases. If the Lord is going to visit, he's got to look like this, and he's got to, such and such. Yeah. So thus you have people in Japan who cannot receive because he's not coming through Japanese. Oh, I'm serious about this.
Yeah.
People in America that can't receive because God sent them a white brother.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
And they're all white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or they can't receive because God appeared in a black man. And they're all white.
That's right.
And we have all kinds of issues about determining how the Lord is supposed to visit us.
Yeah.
Yes.
On our terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we're actually acknowledging is that we understand very little about how the kingdom functions.
Yeah.
Because the Lord chooses on his terms. Come on, say that with me. The Lord chooses on his terms. That's his choice. When you get to Genesis 21, it isn't that Abraham doesn't have a son. He's got a son.
Yeah.
Just the wrong mama.
Yeah.
But he has a son. And the thing that God had promised him was a son.
Yeah.
And he was extremely delighted when Ishmael was born. But God had to help him to realize it is through Sarah that I'm going to provide the next generation that will actually prolong your days. And then out of that generation will come another generation, and another generation, and another generation, and another generation, continuous generations. And so it's appropriate then that Sarah is listed here in this, and we're aware of the fact that the Lord visited Sarah just like he had spoken. The Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. Sarah conceived and bare Abraham's son in his old age at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And let me backtrack for just a little bit here. I'll make this short if I can. Let's go all the way back to Genesis chapter 1. When God said, let us make man, let us make man, let us make man. The concept is we're looking at God as family. Let us. You know, if it's just an individual, it would be let me. Like when we're talking about us. So the concept there is the Elohim, the family God.
Yeah.
So let us make man in our image and how else? Come on, put it with me, after our likeness. And then he said, let them have dominion. And the place where they were given dominion was the earth.
Yes, sir.
Was the earth.
Yeah.
All right? So when he said, let them, that speaks to me of the fact that it's not just let him or let her.
Right.
It's already indicative that he's going to bring forth a family of men, just like we see the concept family God.
Right.
All right?
Right.
And these men in his image, we would see them, then certainly they first and foremost are spirit. You see, every last one of us in here, first and foremost, we're spirit.
Yes, sir.
Hello. We're spirit. We're spirit. But what gives us the right to function in the earth is this right here.
Yeah.
This dirt. It's taken from the earth.
Yeah.
A body that's taken from the earth relates to the earth. If you would like study the soil, then study your and my body, you'd find out there's consistency there. It's taken from the earth. But our spirit came from where? Spirit came from God. Hebrews tells us that he's the Father of spirits. Talking about us. He's the Father of spirits. And so, when I look at each of us as spirit, having an earthen vessel in which to house this spirit since we're in the earth. What that tells me is that apart from having this house that we live in, we would be illegally functioning in the earth.
That's correct.
Because anytime that spirit separates from this house, what happens? The house goes back to the dust, the dirt that it came from. The spirit goes back to God who gave it, correct? Mm-hmm. So a law is being established here that is critical. And you'll see why in a moment why I'm saying this. That is, the heavens or the dimension of spirit, that's the Lord's.
Yeah.
And if you try to take this kind of body and function in the heavens, it's not going to work. The only way that you're going to function in the heavens is you got to put this one off. Now, if you don't have any desire to put this one off, then you got to prepare to stay here.
Think of that.
So the most valuable thing that you have in connection to this earth, since you are spirit, is your body. Can you see now why there's been a diabolical strategy to get spirit separated from body? You say, okay, you're telling me the most valuable thing that I have as far as functioning in this earth is my body?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand that, then you'll fail to understand that it was God authorizing man with this body to have dominion in the earth.
Yeah.
And once he set that law in motion, even he won't violate it. He will not even violate it.
That's right.
Now, the one that you do see violating it is the one that we call the serpent in Genesis 3.
Yeah.
And what that spirit realizes, that in order to come in and circumvent what God has planned to do, and that is to use man in a human body to function in dominion, to manage the assets called the earth. In order to circumvent that, then he's got to find a body connected to the earth to work through. So what you see is that something that came from the earth began to speak to the woman. Are you awake?
Yeah.
Yeah. The serpent began to do what? Speak to the woman.
Yeah.
Now what you could possibly assume is that being that he was relegated to crawl for the rest of his days on earth, after that was over, the possibility is there that he was not a crawler at first.
Yeah.
I'm just giving, just some seed, or just something. But once the violation took place, where words were released to circumvent the purpose of God, then at that point his judgment was, you will crawl
Yeah.
in the dust of the earth for the rest of your days on earth. Did God not have the power? Now let's go back to this thing of authority. Did God not have the power to stop that? Why didn't he stop it? Because this is what God had done. Relegated himself to the heavens, and he had given man to the earth. You know who could have stopped this thing? The man who was right there with the woman.
Yes, sir.
Because he was authorized.
Yes, sir.
He had a body that related to this earth, and therefore he would not be working illegally.
That's right.
So it almost seems like the serpent got one over. But God immediately, now this is where sovereignty comes in. God immediately spoke prophetically. And he said, I'm going to bring forth through the woman the seed of the woman. And what he's going to do is crush the serpent's head. I'm going to bring a time where this thing will come to a conclusion. But notice, he did not say, I'm just going to do it by spirit.
No, he did not.
He had to come through a vessel. And this is the importance of women in every generation.
Absolutely.
They provide God a body by which he can continue to work through as long as that vessel is in alignment with God, in agreement with God, in sync with God. God can continue to work through that vessel because his set law is he refuses really to work in the earth without a body.
Yes, sir.
Without a body. So you can give Abraham a promise all day long, but if Sarah doesn't have a son, it ends with them.
Yeah.
You can tell him, I'm changing your name from Everett to Abraham, where you're not just a high father, but you're going to be a father of nations. But if somewhere children doesn't start, it ends there.